So welcome to the Become Inspired Teacher Bootcamp. Start with why. This is the first session of 4. We're going to be looking at we have four weeks. First week is today. We're going to be looking at finding our why. Second week, we're going to be looking at actually setting some goals and how to set values-based goals, healthy goals. Goal setting is a skill. It's not something you can just do it, but it does sometimes take a bit of practice to get it right. We're going to look at some resilient stuff, and then we're going to look at some mental skills to hopefully improve your overall well-being and your performance for the rest of the year. I mean, this time of year is a really good time to start doing this, fresh start maybe. I know it's tough out there, so yeah, it's really important to start focusing on what you can do to help you and help your performance and your overall well-being. So to get started, what is wellbeing? Now, don't want to sound like a lecturer here, talking about the obvious, but I just think it's a really good grounding. That's why I'd like to start with finding your why, values, and goal setting to start off with, because I believe you need to have that before you can start going into strategies to help certain things. Because there's lots of stuff out there, and it can be very confusing. So I think it's really important that you focus on, and we focus on building a foundation around values-based goals. And really to start that, it's an idea of what is well-being. Quite simply, it's a state of being comfortable, healthy, and happy. That's, I guess, what everybody wants to be. Everybody wants to have that feeling as much as they possibly can, a feeling of fulfilled, feel like you're actually doing something that's worthwhile and you're healthy. So that's what our ambition is. And why is it important? Well, it obviously impacts our family and people around us, and it impacts your students and your work, and most importantly, it affects you. So, I think the thing is, at the moment, as teachers, you become your containers for everybody else's emotions, and sometimes you can forget about actually yourself. I mean, I don't know whether you guys there are strong in the fact that you look after yourself, but I think to be able to, you need your own self-care to be able to care for others. So I think this is obviously, you've made the first step to come onto this, to obviously have a look and see maybe what else you can learn. And as leaders, obviously there is a responsibility. So as teachers and as family members, we all have a responsibility, and we can lead by example. So if we look after ourselves, then you're teaching other people to look after themselves as well. So starting out, how do we create a long-term positive change? So some of you may, and people out there may feel very happy in their current life, and you might be 80% feeling really good about stuff, but to me, there's always something else, and there's always some way of improving, sort of self-development. So it's having some feelings of a growth mindset. I mean, that terminology is bandied around a great deal currently, but being able to have the acceptance that you want to learn, and you guys being here, I think probably shows that. Connecting with your values and finding your why. So this is about looking at what your beliefs and what your causes are, and reconnecting with those. So this time of year is a really good time to start looking at actually, why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? What are my beliefs? And really trying to connect with those. And if you struggle with that, then we'll go through a bit of a practice in a minute of just trying to work out actually, what am I doing this for? Teaching, I hear a lot of people falling out of teaching, and I can see why. It's very stressful. But I guess it's reconnecting with what you first fell in love with when you started teaching, and reconnecting with that. And that will hopefully stand you in good stead moving forward. And then once we've sort of connected with those, we've maybe created some values of what we believe in and what we're about and what we really want to achieve and aspire to be, the type of person we want to be, we can then make a plan around that using values-based goal setting. So we can set a plan around how we're going to get to that point and how we're going to achieve those things. And that's a detailed process. We're not going to necessarily get that all done in today or next week's session, but it will give you an insight in how's the best to do that. And goal setting, like I said at the beginning, is a really detailed and quite a difficult skill to master. You need to find the sweet spot of what's a good goal, what isn't a good goal, and also having some ability to have reflection to be able to work out, actually, have I set a good goal there? Is it challenging enough? Or actually, is it too challenging, unrealistic, and it doesn't fit with my values? So that's what we're going to be going through. Some of you may have heard of a guy called Simon Sinek. So he's a bit of a philosopher, but he came up with, well, this has been around for 200 years, but he's created the golden circle. And it's basically a way of thinking about things, your life, your business, your everything really. And a lot of people start off on the outside of the circle and they work their way in. So they start off with what, how, and then why. But what we're trying to, and what I want to advocate, and where you should start when you're starting to reflect on things, is looking at what is your why first, and then working the other way, so inside to outside. So why is your purpose? What is your motivation? What do you believe in? And if you've got a pen and paper there, it'd be really good to maybe just start noting that down. I think if you aren't doing this already, the simplest tip that I think could help anybody out there at the moment is write stuff down, write your thoughts down, and just have a book by your side of your bed. And if you have thoughts at the end of the day can be anything, but it's also a good way of be creative, come up with new goals, new ideas, new ways of working. So, but to start off with, it's really coming up with, and what I really want to try and get over to you guys in this very short webinar is start thinking about what is your motivation and what do you believe in, and what is your cause. Now, some of that might well potentially be, you want to help people, and I guess as teachers, that's probably something that why you started teaching. I mean, I've got the chat box open here, so if anybody has any questions or anything as I go along, and doesn't necessarily want to blow anything out, please put it in the chat, and I'll try and answer any questions. But I mean, yeah, so finding your why and reconnecting with that is really the starting point of maybe going back to basics, thinking about what you came into teaching for, and also maybe what is your outside of teaching, what is your motivations. Then you move on to the how. So these are specific actions, and this is like the goal setting side of it, and the what is sort of the result of what you're going to get out of it. So that's sort of the goal setting. But what I wanted to focus on today was the why. So moving on to be able to sort of a way of getting that out is a good way is to ask yourself. I'm going to just flip to this slide here and then flip back. So a really good question that can really get this out of you, if you're thinking about actually what are values, I don't understand, is to think about in the future. So it's your 80th birthday, somebody stands up at your birthday and says some stuff about you, has a speech about you, and it could be somebody that you really respect and love, somebody you respect their opinion, and I really want you to try and just think about what would you want them to say about you, and the type of person. And by coming up with that is actually the type of values that you probably want to aspire to be as a person, and that is the starting point, and I guess the building blocks of where we can start is finding out what those values are, and then we can build a goal and build plans around that. These type of values, one really key thing, the difference between values and goals is values can never be completed. That they're stuff that you aspire to, they're a guide you through life. Goals can be completed, and they're the marker points that get you along the way. So really what we want to really be focusing on now is just thinking about your values and just jot them down. You might have, if I go back a slide, you might have 100 different thoughts on this. You might have just maybe 3 or 4. There's no minimum, there's no maximum, but you can pick words and values that fit who you are. it could be being successful. It could be just to generally to help people. It could be to be healthy. It could be to be compassionate. But these are the types of things that I think are the building blocks for you to then be able to move on and make a change. Because when you do go through adversity, like we are doing now, so teachers, I've got my dog snoring in the background. So as teachers, you know, you're going through tough times, and there will be question marks. Why am I doing this? You know, is this worth the stress of what I'm doing? Whereas if you've got a real deep-hearted value of really wanting to help people and make a change, then I think potentially you probably will go through harder times and you'll get through it. Whereas if you're not connected to that value anymore, then there's an option for you to maybe say, actually, I don't want to do this anymore. Which, to be fair, could be okay. If it is too much, and your value isn't that value anymore, then maybe you can change that value and you can change your career. But obviously that's a personal decision. But I think this is the starting point. Has anybody got any questions so far? Please fire them through on the chat box if you have, and I will try and answer them. So I guess a bit of a recap on this first session. Is to engage with your why will create long-standing motivation. So like I say, your motivation hopefully will stay for longer. It'll guide you through adversity, and it'll help you also build team spirit within your family potentially. So you can do this with your family. You can have family values. You can note these down with your family and almost come up with a team values. And I think that's possibly a really, really good thing. And I don't know what everybody else is, how they're finding lockdown in the UK, but you know, having a strong family ethos and values that you all want to stick to is quite a good way of keeping positive. And yeah, I guess that's it for this session. The next session will be based, we'll actually try and set some goals around your values. So ideally, pens and paper at the ready next week, same time, same day, and we'll be able to just maybe note down, and we can start just maybe creating a stepping stone approach to how you can sort of aspire to those values on a day-to-day basis. And then obviously once we move on past that, I don't know whether any of you guys are on this call maybe to look at trying to help with anxiety or mindfulness or nutrition or sleep. We'll be looking at all those types of things as well, and yeah, trying to help you guys if you've got any issues with any of those types of things. But this is really just the starting point, and for this time of year is a really good time to start doing that. Just a bit of a recap on me. If anybody wants a one-to-one or more help on any of this, I do offer one-to-one packages. So I have a 2 1-hour coaching sessions. They're a Kickstart package. That's £179, and I also have the Inspired package, which gets you the monthly one-to-one coaching session. That's about £70–80 a month. And you get our app. So we have a Become Inspired app, which is a goal-setting, values-based goal-setting app. So it actually helps you monitor and track your goals. And also you'll have bespoke content, wellbeing content for you, which will be administered onto that platform. So those are the two options if you did want to do one-to-one stuff, all remote, obviously, at this moment in time. And I'm just, we'll be launching a teacher wellbeing hub, which will be just a monthly subscription, just under £10 a month. And that will give you one monthly webinar, and it will also give you full access to our app. So has anybody got any questions? Nope. Okay. Well, guys, it's been great. Thanks for coming on. If you've got any questions, please send me an email. I'm just going to jot that in the chat box now, where you can find out further information. Just type in the website. So it's becomeinspired.co.uk, and the email address is info@lifeontime.co.uk. So yeah, guys, get in touch if you need any more help, and I'll see you next week.